What's up, Taiwan? I'm Sandy Chi with news from here in Taiwan and around the world. The U.S. has slapped steep tariffs on Canada, Mexico and China starting Saturday. As Adele Bra reports, it's a sign of what's to come for U.S. President Donald Trump's second term in office.
In a blow to the U.S.'s top three trading partners, the U.S. has confirmed it's imposing steep tariffs on goods from Canada, Mexico and China.
Can you clarify whether those will actually be going into effect tomorrow or
Yes.
whether there might be some lead time?
Yes.
And are those, they will be going into effect tomorrow?
Correct.
From February 1st, the U.S. will impose 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico, along with 10% on Chinese goods. It comes after a flurry of tariff threats made by U.S. President Donald Trump during his presidential campaign. He says the action will help curb national security issues such as illegal migration and the smuggling of chemicals used for making the drug fentanyl.
We'll be announcing the tariffs on Canada and Mexico for a number of reasons. Number one is the people that have poured into our country so horribly and so much. Number two are the drugs, fentanyl and everything else that have come into the country. And number three are the massive subsidies that we're giving to Canada and to Mexico in the form of deficits.
The 10% levy on Chinese goods is also meant to punish China for its alleged role in the fentanyl trade. While lower than the 25% tariffs Trump slapped on China in his first term, it's also a signal that US aims to go hard on its competitors. But there are concerns such tariffs will raise prices for everyday American consumers.
If he actually puts on tariffs, you're going to get a price impact. We calculate 1.2% increase in average prices. And that may sound small, but hey, inflation is a big story. Inflation is why the Fed won't cut its interest rates. And that's not happy news. And there'll be price spikes in particular goods, like the autos I mentioned. I should have mentioned also fruits and vegetables, mangoes, avocados, lettuce, tomatoes.
And this is just the beginning. After a meeting with chip giant NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang on Friday, he said tariffs on computer chips are coming. Trump has previously threatened tariffs of up to 100% on semiconductors, a move meant to boost chip manufacturing in the US, and one that would impact Taiwan's semiconductor industry, prompting Taipei to try and shore up its ties with Washington. With Trump's duties set to disrupt nearly $1.6 trillion in North American trade, it's a signal to all countries that the US will not go easy on partners or competitors. Adele Bra and Ryan Wu for TaiwanPlus.
6 people are dead after a medical evacuation airplane crashed shortly after taking off in Philadelphia. The small jet fell from the sky, exploding into a fireball in a heavily populated residential neighborhood. The 4 crew members, a patient and their mother all died in the crash. Another 6 people on the ground were injured. It marks the second aviation disaster in the US this week. It's been 4 years since Myanmar's military overthrew the democratically elected government, kicking off an armed rebellion that has sent millions of people looking for safety abroad. Harrell Hughes reports on the lives of young migrant workers searching for hope in Thailand.
In a small apartment on the outskirts of Bangkok, Ma Pyu, not her real name, tidies up the one-room apartment she shares with her husband. The 28-year-old is from Myanmar, where she used to teach young children while studying for her teacher's qualifications. But all that changed once the military took over. She became one of millions to flee the country and now works the night shift 6 days a week at a fish processing plant in Thailand, afraid to return home. On February 1st, 2021, Myanmar's military overthrew the democratically elected government and seized power, kicking off nationwide democracy protests and an armed resistance lasting for 4 years. The bloody conflict has sent millions of people fleeing for safety into nearby countries like Thailand. Thailand is now home to the world's largest Burmese diaspora, over 4 million people, according to estimates by the UN Migration Agency, working difficult and poorly paid jobs and living in fear of being sent back. 25-year-old Tura, also using a pseudonym, is one of those millions. He fled Myanmar last year when the military junta announced mandatory conscription. Rather than fight for the regime, he chose to escape and now lives with his sister in Bangkok. Myanmar's military leaders have extended the state of emergency another 6 months and promised to hold elections this year, an announcement that has been scrutinized around the globe. In the meantime, the millions of exiles who fled abroad may have found safety in their communities, but 4 years later, still struggle to have hope for the future. Howard Jung and Harel Hughes for TaiwanPlus.
3 Israeli hostages have been released in the latest exchange of hostages for Palestinian prisoners. The Israeli military confirmed Offer Calderon and Yarden Bibas have been handed over to the Red Cross in the southern Gazan city of Khan Yunis on Saturday. A third hostage, Keith Siegel, was also released in Gaza City. Israel is expected to release 182 Palestinian prisoners as part of the exchange. It's part of a 6-week ceasefire deal brokered in January. Lunar New Year isn't just a time for food and family. It's also when people pray for fortune and good luck for the year ahead. Our reporters Tiffany Wong and Reese Ayres traveled to a well-known temple in central Taiwan to ask for cash blessings from Taiwan's most prosperous deity.
Tiffany, 恭喜发财.
Hey Reese, Happy New Year.
I found out recently that this phrase, 恭喜发财, doesn't literally mean Happy New Year, but instead it means I hope you get rich.
I mean, everyone dreams of having financial stability and even more cash if you can get it. But I heard in Taiwan there's a tradition where you can actually ask a god for more money.
That's right, and a lot of Taiwanese people make an annual pilgrimage to this temple here in central Taiwan to ask the gods for an actual money loan, which they'll use as an investment in the coming year. And those loans can be up to 600 Taiwanese dollars, which is about 18 US dollars.
Well, that sounds like a great idea. Why don't we go try it?
Let's go. This relatively small and unassuming temple in central Taiwan may not look extraordinary, but Zinan Temple has a big reputation. Every year, hundreds of thousands of people visit, seeking prosperity for the year ahead, especially around Lunar New Year.
But before we ask the deity for a loan ourselves, we'll chat with the temple's leadership to learn about this site's more than 2 centuries of history.
那时候的银行比较少。 你一般人要借钱不容易，那是真的。我们是跟土地公借钱了，真的是要用的。比方说你要看医师了，看医生，还是说你要去上学。
At that time, people could borrow 6,000 Taiwan dollars. That's around 180 American dollars at today's rate. And they seemed to make good returns on the money they were lent, returning the next year to pay back the loan plus interest as thanks to the land god.
后来就是大概30几年前，外面的人看我们好像我们这边出去的做同样生意都赚很多钱，生意特别好。问他说你为什么卖一样东西为什么会赚那么多钱？生意特别好，他就说他是用土地公的钱。
News of the land god's prosperous loans spread far and wide, and today, for many, a visit to Zinan Temple has become an annual tradition, with some borrowers repaying their loans with a lot of interest.
有一个年轻人他借400块而已，他还了将近300万。
It must have been a prosperous year for that guy. And now that we've learned the history of Zinan Temple, it's time for Tiffany and me to get our loans. So the first step, Tiffany, is to grab some xiang or incense, which are here in this bucket on the side. And you're supposed to donate a little bit of money to help the temple out as well. So there are 6 incense sticks there for you and 6 for me. Let's go and pray to the gods.
So now that we've got these 6 incense sticks, what do we do with them?
Well, we're here outside the temple now, and we're going to bye-bye, which means to pray 3 times, and then we'll take 3 of our incense sticks and stick them into the burner. So let's bye-bye first.
We then took the other 3 incense sticks to another burner and repeated the ritual, this time praying inward towards the temple god.
Well, now that our incense are burning outside the temple, we're inside and we're about to ask the local god for that loan.
But how exactly do you communicate with the god?
Well, we use something called buabui or moon blocks, which are divination blocks. You pick up a pair of those moon-shaped blocks, you hold them in your hand, you tell the god your name, your address, and what your wish is, and you drop those blocks to the ground. Now, how those blocks land dictates the answer the god has given.
I think I've seen those blocks in temples before, but I forget, how do you know when the god is saying yes or no?
Well, it depends how the blocks land. If they're both laying face up, that's a no. If they're both laying face down, that's also a no, or it means you need to rephrase your question. But if one is face up and one is face down, then you've got a positive response and you can go ahead and get your loan.
Let's try it.
Let's go. First time.
And just like any other loan, you need to provide some personal details so that the temple can keep a record. After all, you need to pay back the loan within 12 months, and usually with a little interest based on how prosperous your year was.
Well, now that we've got our loan, what do you think we should do with it?
That's a good question. Everyone has their own way of either keeping or investing this money to make sure that you maximize the profits for the coming year. Why don't we go and ask some temple goers what they think is the best way to deal with this cash?
That sounds like a good idea.
我就放在银行，存在银行里面，听说很灵，但是我觉得很灵。
放在家里面，我说都是每年来借，然后每年就是一直放着。对对对，就累积，我不会去用它啦。
我会放在我公司的户头里面，就是当做发财金使用这样子。
I like their suggestions, but is there any way we can see a more immediate return on this investment?
I think I have an idea. Come with me. Conveniently situated just outside the temple are these street vendors selling gua le, or scratch cards.
But isn't gambling illegal in Taiwan?
It is, but this is one of the few legal forms of gambling. It's actually a government-run initiative, and all of the profits from the scratch cards go to social welfare programs and also to healthcare.
Well, even if we lose then, that seems like a good cause. Let's try it out.
Let's go.
老板你好，我们要2张500的。
没有。
It's gonna be here. It's gonna be here.
After scratching away at our cards, with a little help from the vendor, Tiffany turned her $500 into $200, and me, amigo, $100. A net loss for both of us, but we claimed our winnings nonetheless. Oh, $200. Oh, no luck this year with the scratch cards, but at least we did get some money back that we can use as a keepsake or a memento to bring us luck in the coming year.
That's right. And we can't forget to pay back the loan to the temple by the end of the year.
That's right. And while Gongxi Fa Cai may literally mean I hope you get rich, actually it's just a nice way of saying Happy New Year. So Happy New Year, Tiffany.
Thank you, Reese. And from all of us at TaiwanPlus, we wish you a Happy New Year. Gongxi Fa Cai.
Gongxi Fa Cai. Justin Wu.
Ryan Wu.
Reese Ez.
And Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. You can visit the TaiwanPlus website or follow our social media for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Before we go, check out a group of comic strip artists decorating a prehistoric cave in France. I'm Sanny Ji, take care and see you next time.